Hi everyone, it's Miss Kate.
And Miss Hazel.
Today we're going to make something super fun. I've been a little obsessed with paper lanterns lately, so I figured out how to make one. We're using tissue paper, and you could put like some pressed flowers or something in it, but we used feathers because feathers are easy, and then some paper covered wire that we had so you can hang it up. I'm going to show you how I did it. So first I took a balloon and I blew it up. These are pretty thick balloons. I'm not making it quite as big as that one. These are pretty thick balloons, so they shouldn't pop when you're doing it, but we were just talking about that. Sometimes we've used water balloons, and they're really thin. They don't work as well because they pop really easily. Okay, then I took an old cottage cheese container. I put it on, and I used, it's full of electricity. I used some tape to tape it on like this.
That it won't roll around.
Yes, because we want it to stay still while we're putting this stuff on, because what we're going to do next is a little bit wet and slimy, and you don't want to fall over. So now that it's on, maybe I'm going to put 2 more pieces on just to be sure. So now it's pretty securely on here. And now we get to do the fun part. I'm actually going to put on gloves, which is shocking because I almost never put on gloves when I do something messy. But
this one's really messy.
This is really messy, and I have somewhere else to be later, so I don't want to be covered in glue all day. Be picking it off my fingers. Okay, so then if I get this one on, because my hands are a little bit sweaty or something, I don't know. Anyway, now I've got the gloves on. Okay, now we're using this. This is a glue mixture. It's about half glue and half water, regular school glue, that we mixed in together. So it's kind of like the consistency of milk. It kind of looks like milk, but do not drink it because it would taste just awful. I took some pieces of tissue paper. I've already cut these up, or you could rip them. Like some of them I actually ripped. But you want to have it all ready. It's just regular tissue paper that you would use to, like, for wrapping a gift or something. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to dip it into the glue mixture and pull it out sort of carefully because it will rip because it's very wet. It's very wet. So I'm going to carefully open it up and press it on here. Smooth it down and get it all smoothed on there. And I'm going to keep going like this all the way around. After a while, there's a lot of glue on here and you don't need to put it on every time. Like on this top piece, I'm just going to put a piece of dry on here, dip my fingers in, and rub it on carefully so it will stick. I'm going to keep going until I have like at least 2 layers completely on here. And then I will, and then I'm going to stop because I'm going to add on the feathers. So the next part, so I'm going to stop here because I've already done that part on this other one. So that, remember, at least 2 layers, and then you can go on to the next. So you want the light to come through, but you don't want it to be too difficult. So now this one has 2 layers on. I'm going to take one of my feathers here. Now normally this would have been wet already still, but I did it earlier. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue with my sponge brush on here so that the feather stops. Yes. Oh, I guess, yeah, I should have shown you that side. That's what it's going to look like right there. This way when we put the, I'll do one over the top here. When we put the light inside, the great part is that it's going to, it's going to cast some shadows through it. And that'll be interesting. Like I said, if you want to do like some pressed leaves or something like that, you could do that. And I think that would look really beautiful. So now I'm going to add my feathers. I'm only adding on 3 on this one, but you could add as many as you want. Or whatever you're going to put on there is fine too. And now because I did let it dry a little bit, I'm going to have to get it wet again. Normally I probably wouldn't have to get it. There's so much glue on here. It's stuck here now too. Normally I wouldn't have to get it all wet again, but I'm going to have to. So I'm going to use my sponge brush because I did let it get dry so fast, so thoroughly. I don't want it to get I don't want it to rip though. So I'm being very careful with my sponge brush and the glue. And put some more on top. Add another layer. And something else I'm going to tell you now so I don't forget later is that when this is all dry, and it may take a day or two, depends on how much glue you've put on and what your weather is like. But once once it's dry, the balloon will start to peel away from the paper. But it will stick a little bit because this is a lot of glue. So think about that when you're taking your balloon out. I cut the very top off the balloon where I tied it. And I let all the air go out of it. And it started to pull away. But there is a chance when it's happening that the side of your lantern could cave in a little bit. And that's okay. You just can press it back out because it's just soft paper. Just be gentle with it. It's a very fun thing to make, but it's slightly fragile. So you have to be very patient with it. I'm just going to keep adding.
And maybe you'll notice when it's dry, if there's a really thin spot, Miss Kate, could you go back in and put another piece of tissue over?
Yes, I did that on this one. I did it so many times. I had to keep looking because it's sort of hard to tell where you've put on the paper and where you haven't put on the paper because I can see the balloon through it. So I had to make sure that I had really covered it well. But like I said, just take your time. There's no rush. You could even get some of it started like I did earlier and then come back to it if maybe you had to go do something else, clean your room or help make dinner.
It's important to help clean your room.
Yes, maybe those things are happening in your house while you're trying to do some art. And you just have to be patient and come back to it later. And then for the wire, I think I already told you that, but I used a paper wire. It's wire that's covered in paper. So it's easy to use, and it didn't rip my lantern, and it can hang up. So now the only thing I have left to do is figure out where I'm going to hang it up. I don't know. I'm going to have 3 of these soon.
One more question.
Sure.
Did you trim the top of your balloon?
I did. When I took it off, it was very jaggedy. So I took a pair of scissors, and I just carefully went around the top. It's still a little jaggedy, but I carefully went around the top to sort of smooth it out. The outside feels a little bit rough, but inside, because it was the balloon, is very smooth. It feels good. I don't know how long these will last. I figure when the fog comes, if I have it outside, it's probably going to get a little goopy. But for a little while, we're going to have these beautiful lanterns. I think we were talking earlier, maybe we could make them with different colored tissue paper. I just really like the white and the way the feathers look through it.
That's nice.
Okay, so that is making a paper lantern. I'm going to keep working on this, and maybe you'll see one hanging up behind us someday soon. I don't know. Remember, if you like this and you want to see more of what we're doing, check out the rest of our videos and subscribe if you want to, so you'll know when new ones are coming out. And if you make one of these, would you please have someone take a picture and send it to us through Instagram by hashtagging Alameda Arts Fun. And finally, behind us are all these shelves and lots of stuff on our shelves. We started a game of Spot the Difference. If you notice something different in this video from a different video you've seen, or maybe you go watch some videos and you notice something different from behind us, please send us an email at info@alamedaarts.com and tell us what the difference is that you have seen, and we will send you something in the mail. What do you think of that? Doesn't that sound fun?
Fun, Miss Kate.
Okay, thanks everyone for coming. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, friends.